Hello traders, welcome back to this channel. This is Yonayield. Hope you guys doing well. Today in this video we want to look at the newly released FTMO premium program. Check it out, what it's all about, see how hard it is to get in there, check out the benefits, and lastly I will also share my personal thoughts about it as well, of course. So without further ado, let's get the video started. Alright guys, let's have a look at FTMO's website and check out the program in more detail. Cool, here it is. So this is the newly released FTMO premium program, and as you can see already on the screen, basically there are two different levels. There's the prime level and the supreme level. Each level has different kind of benefits, but also there's a difference in difficulty to reach it, of course, as well. So let's go through it and see what it's about. The last thing you guys can notice, there are like 4 different logos here. So the last logo is Quantlane. This is basically a traditional prop trading company that FTMO acquired. I will also make a video about this. Very exciting news. I think this is a very nice step towards a bright future for traders as well. So we will jump into that in a different video. But notice that Quantlane is listed here because in the end step you can become a Quantlane trader. So you can work for a traditional prop company. Nice. Which is very exciting news in my opinion. Alright guys, we will now take a deep dive into the 2 levels. But before we do that, it's important to notice that you can only qualify for the prime or supreme level with an active FTMO account. Meaning you cannot qualify for any of those levels if you're still in the FTMO evaluations. So if you're still in the FTMO challenge or verification stage. That is very important to know. Only once you're an FTMO trader at the FTMO trader stage, then you can go on and pursue one of those 2 levels. Basically, it is also important to notice that this is account based, meaning once you have an FTMO account, each account can qualify for either of those 2 levels.
Let's all start clapping.
Alright, and with that being said, let's jump into the prime level now and let's do a full screen as well. Here you go, and we first want to take a look at the benefits, and later we want to see how hard it is as well.
Prime status benefits.
Alright guys, and here we are at the overview of the prime status benefits. Now let's see what you will get if you can really reach the prime status. So very nice, you will get right off the bat 1 free FTMO challenge of the same size as the qualified account. That is very nice and interesting. So basically, let's say you have a 100k USD FTMO account, I should say active FTMO account in the FTMO trader stage, and let's say you qualify for the prime status, then immediately you will get another 100k FTMO challenge for free. So that's a very nice reward that you can get here. Then secondly, the payout ratio will be at 90%, same as we have seen with the scaling plan actually. That is also of course very nice to get a 90% payout ratio. Then very interesting, the maximum capital allocation is increased to 600k. Maybe you guys remember FTMO used to have always a 400k maximum allocation for dollar accounts, and this will be increased to 600. Okay, another point, there are no time limits as long as your account is active, with which you have reached the prime status, as long as you will be in that status. Unfortunately, however, if you lose the account, then you will fall out of the prime status. Then exclusive discounts, and this is a very big one guys, should be highlighted right here. So you will get 10% off for all new purchased FTMO accounts. And this is as long as you're in the prime status. So that is a very big benefit in my opinion. You will have a constant discount of 10% going on. Very nice feature that they included here. Then as another bonus, you get 15% off in the FTMO eShop during their premium program. The eShop is most likely the shop where you can buy merchandise. Good, other benefits, dedicated customer support agent if you have the prime status. So if you have any problem, it will get fixed fast for you since you have a custom support agent just for you. That is also very nice. Okay, let's keep going. Special certificate on your achievement. This is also a huge one in my opinion. So basically you can share your success, and you guys know FTMO has very nice certificates with QR codes and if you have a trading community, this can show you skill. So I'm assuming a lot of guys will try to get into the prime status to show how good their trading really is. Then you can access a unique 400k FTMO challenge product. This is a big benefit. If you think about it, once you are in the prime status, you're probably a good trader and you are able to do bigger payouts, and then it makes sense to reinvest one of these payouts right into a 400k FTMO challenge. And keep in mind that you can have a maximum capital allocation of 600k. So for example, let's say you reach the prime status with a 200k account, then it would be perfect to right away buy a 400k FTMO challenge to get the 600k maximum allocation going. Then lastly, this is also a nice benefit, I think so, 5% bonus on the rollover amount added to the subsequent FTMO account, meaning whenever your profit split day is and you decide to leave some parts of your profit in the account, it will be rolled over into the next FTMO account after the profit split, and any amount you leave in there, you will get a 5% bonus on that. Also a very nice incentive, I feel. And this is nice, of course, if you're planning to increase the account, planning to build a buffer in your account with respect to the maximum loss limit. That will help you, of course, as well. Alright guys, now that we saw the benefits, we want to look what you have to achieve in order to get into the prime status. And it's not that easy, of course not, because these are the very elite ranks, prime and supreme, only dedicated to very good traders who show a very high consistency and also the ability to achieve high profits. So basically, let's see the eligibility. You must have an active FTMO account. As I said, you can only qualify for the prime status or the supreme status if you have an active FTMO account in the FTMO trader stage. Only with those accounts you can qualify. So you cannot qualify for any of these stages when you're still in the evaluation period, which makes sense because these two statuses are only for the most elite traders, basically. Good to notice, aggressive accounts, they are not eligible. You know, FTMO anyway decided to discontinue aggressive accounts. So if you're still working on an aggressive account, unfortunately, you cannot qualify for any of those two stages. All right, then let's take a look at the other point, clean record. So you should have no failed FTMO accounts within the last 4 months from the date you applied to become prime trader. This is a requirement, is reviewed on a per account basis. All right, so this basically means you can only get into the prime status if you don't have any failed accounts, and the time period they will look at is 4 months. So if you, for example, have a failed account 2 months ago, then you cannot get into the prime trader status for another 2 months minimum. So in this case, you would need to wait 2 months. And then if you have the qualifications to become a prime trader after that, then it is possible again. Okay, then let's look at the last point. This one is important and is also, in my opinion, not that easy to do. So you need to achieve 4 payouts, first of all, on a single order. This means on a single account, basically. On a single FTMO account, you need to have 4 payouts anytime in the history of that account. They don't need to be consecutive. However, another caveat, the payouts need to be 4% minimum, so 4% or higher from the initial balance, meaning for a 100k account, it would need to be 4 payouts. Anytime in the history you have traded the specific account, and the payouts need to be 4k or higher. And this 4% or 4k for a 100k account, for example, they are accounted for before the split. So that is nice. However, 4% in my opinion is a little bit difficult because I'm very conservative. I try to only target 2 to 3% per month. On a trading account, 4% is a little bit more than that. So basically that could be a strategy where you would build a buffer on the account and then in the end of the month try to go for that 4%. But we will talk about strategy later, how to achieve these points. Lastly, another important thing to notice is this sentence right here, which I skipped before in order not to confuse you. Basically, it means if you have 2 accounts and you merge them, you know, with FTMO in the FTMO trader stage, you can merge accounts. The problem is if they're not in the prime status and you merge them, then basically you lose the payout counter and the payout counter will reset. All right, another thing is also if you want to merge a account which is on a normal status with an account that's already on the prime status, this is important to know, then also the master account that comes out of those two accounts will lose the prime status. So that is important to know. Basically, you can only merge two accounts if they're both on the prime status, and only in that scenario you will keep the prime status. So also an important point to consider. Basically, it means if you're trying to go for a prime account, don't merge any of the accounts if they're not on the prime levels. Alright guys, and that basically sums it up for the prime status. Hope it was clear. We want to look now at the other status, which is the most elite level that you can get, next to, of course, going into quant lane and becoming a professional traditional prop trader there. Alright guys, and here we are at level 2, Supreme status. You may be eligible to receive the Supreme status if you fulfill the following criteria.
Supreme status eligibility.
So let's have a look here. Eligibility, you must have an active 400k FTMO account. Okay guys, so this is big. Basically, you must get the old maximum allocation limit, which was 400k, and this one you need to achieve. Now important, that 400k account must either have been merged from two 200k FTMO accounts or one single 400k FTMO account. Okay, very interesting. So these conditions must be in place in order to be considered for a Supreme. Now we want to look at the profitability. Like we have seen before, here again, active participation with the prime status for 3 months. So first, the level 1 is the prime status. You need to have that for 3 months on an active FTMO account. So first you need to achieve level 1, which is the prime status. And to get the Supreme status, you need to have at least 3 payouts as well. So basically, you need to be in the prime status for 3 months. This is the first requirement, but then also over the whole trading period or history, this can also be 6 months, of course, the 3 months is just a minimum, you need to have at least 3 payouts as well generated at some point, and again 4% profitability per payout. All right, so not that easy. That brings us in total to 7 payouts that all need to be 4%, because first you need to get to the prime stage, basically status, and after that to the Supreme status. And if you want to do all of that, at some point you need to have 7 payouts with all 4%. All right, these are the conditions. Now let's look at the benefits of the Supreme status, because the benefits are very, very good, guys. Even though this is very hard to get, if somebody can get this in the long run, then you will have very good benefits. So let's have a look.
Supreme status benefits.
Alright guys, so here we are at the Supreme status benefits. So all prime status benefits, of course, because basically you leveled up from the prime stage. Then a big one, 1 million max capital allocation limit. That is quite crazy, but very nice to see. So you can manage 1 million in FTMO accounts, which is super nice to see. You will get a physical badge of achievement. Very interesting to see. So I'm imagining you will get a shipment to your address with a physical badge. Awesome stuff. Exclusive merch, also very nice to see what it will be. Then this is a big one, guys, immediate payout. This is crazy. So you can have a payout at any time. So you can basically set your profit split on whatever date you like. That gives you a lot of flexibility. Very nice to see, awesome stuff. And then the next one, this is also amazing, no maximum daily loss. This will also make you a lot more flexible. However, of course, you need to still have very good risk management in place. Nonetheless, if you're at the Supreme stage, you should be a very professional trader and anyway have your own risk limits. For example, stop the trading day after 2%. However, just to have this ability is very nice, because you don't need to worry about the maximum daily loss limit anymore, and it will not be a factor where you will lose the account because of an unfortunate circumstance. Then the last one, this is very awesome, opportunity to move to quant lane, subject to passing their assessments. So basically you have the possibility to go to quant lane, which is separated, of course, from the Supreme status. It is a traditional prop company in the traditional sense, where you are managing live capital. You're basically managing the capital of the company, how it used to be with traditional prop companies. And also you will get a place in the office in Prague, which I think is amazing. So you have the opportunity to move to Quantlane. Of course, you still need to pass some evaluations by them, but very nice stuff here. Okay guys, what we also want to talk about is the downside. What happens if you reach Prime status or Supreme status? Can you lose it again? That is of course also a very important topic, because so far we have looked at the benefits and the conditions. Now let's have a look at the downside.
Losing the premium status.
And for this we're at the FTMO website. Let's go to the FAQs, which you can find here. Overall in the FAQs you can find a lot of useful information, and if you scroll down here you have a tab called Premium Program, and here once again everything is summarized. And let's have a look down here. Here's the important question: once I'm in Prime status, do I keep it permanently? And what is interesting, there are basically two conditions on how you can lose your Prime status or Supreme status, and one of them we already talked about. Well, if you fail the FTMO account with which you qualified for the Prime status or Supreme status, if you lose that account itself, then of course the status is also lost. Unless, I guess, you have another account also already in the Prime status. But let's say you only have one account in the Prime status, you lose that account, then you will lose the status. And now, very important, this is the second point, which I think can get overlooked easily. Basically, FTMO is looking for serious traders and not gamblers. So if you fail 3 accounts, regardless of the stage, this is important, FTMO challenge, verification or FTMO account, then you will also lose your Prime or Supreme status. Okay guys, so this is a very important point actually and should not be overlooked. Why is that in place? I believe it is in place because first of all FTMO is looking for serious traders, but second of all, if you think about it, if you think about strategies, you could basically try to go for a 10k FTMO challenge and try to unlock with that small challenge the Prime status. And then you would have that 10% discount benefit. And at that point, with the continuous 10% discount, maybe some traders would be inclined to start gambling on bigger challenges and just try to do as many challenges as possible. And that is the so-called account rolling. And I guess this is kind of a measure to prevent this, right? So FTMO is looking basically for serious traders and not traders who gamble in their FTMO challenge, you know, buy it in the same day and fail it in the same day. Well, basically if you do that, then you will have easily 3 failed accounts, and with that you would lose your Prime or Supreme status, unfortunately. So keep that in mind, because we will talk about some strategies later, and for me there are basically 2 ways how you can go about it. One is that kind of low-cost approach we just theorized about, but keep in mind, if you do that, you need to do it very carefully, since you don't want to lose 3 accounts, right? And as mentioned again, this is regardless of the stage, FTMO challenge, verification or FTMO account. Alright, and lastly we want to look how you would lose the Supreme status. Remember guys, before we looked at how you lose the Prime status, and now we look at the Supreme status, which is the level 2, which is the higher elite status. Basically it is very similar, there are just some minor nuances right here, so let's go through it quickly. Again, the first rule, as we have seen before, if you fail the account that is on the elevated status, then you would fall out of the status. Important here to point out, you will not level back to the Prime status, right? Because remember, you basically need the Prime status first to then reach the Supreme status, but once you lose the Supreme status, you go all the way back to normal. Okay, so that is also important to know. Then here, the other rule, as we have seen before, you fail 3 accounts regardless of the stage, FTMO challenge, verification and FTMO account, same as we have seen before. Now the last point, as we have seen before as well, you breach the contractual requirements of the premium program. I'm assuming this refers to the terms and conditions. So if you do some shady trading practices like arbitrage, that could be a problem and you could potentially lose your status because of something like that. Great guys, that was basically all for the Prime and Supreme status. I will make a separate video on Quantlane. We will not get into that right now, because we want to keep the videos kind of short and separated, but I will definitely get into it in another video. I'm sure you guys are curious about it as well. And with that being said guys, let's go back to my cam. So nice to see you again, and yeah, what are my personal thoughts about this? First of all, I think these are amazing opportunities. Very nice to see that FTMO is pushing new innovations. I especially like the fact that they bought a traditional prop company and offering traditional prop trading for the best elite traders, which makes a lot of sense. If you have so many traders, and out of these traders a handful should be very good, it totally makes sense to push them into a traditional prop company and kind of run a hedge fund. Alright, my other thoughts about this, of course it's not easy to get in there, it will take a lot of time, and it also should not be easy, of course. I kind of wish though the limit would be a little bit lower, like not 4% in a month, but 3%, that would be a little bit nicer, but 4% is still doable. Of course, to have 4 payouts like that with 4% will take a while, but it's not impossible to achieve, and some very good traders will do it for sure.
What?
Alright guys, now let's jump back into the overview mode, and I want to... Alright guys, now let's jump back into the overview mode, and I will talk about my personal thoughts about this and how I would go about if I would like to achieve one of these statuses. Alright, so yeah, basically if you think about it, there are two kind of ways how you can go about if you want to achieve the prime status or the supreme status. So basically what I have been thinking about, either you can try to go a cost efficient route, which means you would go for small FTMO challenges like the 10k FTMO challenge, or the other route, if you want to go for bigger accounts because you want to live from your trading right away, or like have profit splits in a level where you have an income that is kind of decent from trading, then you would go for the bigger accounts like 100k and 200k. But if you do that, then you would need to manage the accounts super safely, because as you can see, this premium program is all about consistency in my opinion. This is why FTMO is asking for 4 payouts, and these badges basically show that you are a very consistent trader, which is very nice, because you guys know consistency is one of the hardest things to achieve in trading, right? And for example, if you get a certificate that you are a prime trader or a supreme trader, it shows that you're a very consistent trader, which is awesome, right? So basically think about it, if you have a trading community and you get the prime status, you can share your certificate and it will be highly appreciated, because people and your potential clients can see that you are a very consistent trader. And as I mentioned, consistency is basically the hardest thing to achieve in trading, I would say. All right, and in more detail, so that means you have 2 possibilities. That's what I would think if I'm thinking about myself, how I would go for that. So the cost efficient way would be, for example, I buy a 10k FTMO challenge, try to get it into the FTMO trader stage first, so passing the evaluation, and after that try to achieve 4 payouts, right? So if I would be able to do that, I would get the prime status. Keep in mind, I cannot merge this 10k FTMO account with any other accounts, as long as the other accounts that I will get are not in the prime status, but that is okay because a 10k account is anyway not that big, so it's okay not to merge it, but it would give you the prime status, which is very nice, right? So because if you get the prime status, you will get a one big benefit, which is a 10% discount for all FTMO challenges that you will purchase as long as you have the prime status. So that is a big advantage. So for example, one idea could be, okay, I will try to get a 10k FTMO challenge, then get it into the FTMO trader stage. After that, achieve the prime status, and once I have that, then I would go for the bigger accounts like 100k FTMO challenge, 200k FTMO challenge, and I can purchase them with 10% off. That would be one way, would be the cost efficient route. However, the disadvantage of that is that you will not have a lot of money from the payouts because it's a small account, right? So you cannot really start to have a decent income or start living from trading. For that, you would need to go for the bigger accounts. So the other idea or the other route that in my opinion you could do is go for the 100k or 200k FTMO challenge, so the bigger ones. And once you are in the FTMO trader stage, so after you have passed the evaluation, what I would do in that route, I would try to keep the account super safe. Okay, so here I would not try to gamble or something to achieve the 4%, you know, because that I think would not be clever. Like I said, I think the prime and the supreme status are about consistency. So what I would try to do is keep everything normal, you know, keep trading very moderately with a goal of 2 or 3% each month. Of course, if you really think about it, you can have bi-weekly payouts. So basically you need 4 payouts of 4%. So the fastest way you could be in 8 weeks, right? 2 weeks times 4. You could be a prime status trader, but I would not try to even think about that, right? You can think about this maybe if you do the 10K route that I was thinking about before. So if you do the cost efficient route, maybe you could try to have a fast pass there. But I think the much safer way is go for the bigger accounts, right? And keep them super safe and secure. That's basically how I would probably do it in the end. Because if you think about it, what you can do is you get the 100K FTMO challenge, for example, pass it into the FTMO trader stage. And at that point, I would try to, again, trade moderately 2 or 3% target each month. I would not try to do the bi-weekly payouts. I would do the monthly ones. And then, for example, if I notice that I'm up 2% on the account after maybe 2 or 3 weeks, then for the remaining time, I would try to push it for the 4%, right? Because then you can basically leverage your profits that you have already. So that's what I would try to do for the safe route with the bigger accounts. So basically 2 routes, guys. The small account route with the 10K FTMO challenge, where you can try to be faster, or you do the bigger accounts and try to play everything for consistency, right? The other thing that you can consider if you go the safe route, where you try to be as consistent as possible, is to leave profits in the account. This is definitely something I would also consider. So basically on the profit split, you always have the possibility to leave profits in the account and roll them over into the next trading period, respectively into the next FTMO account after the profit split. And I would definitely consider this because it will make your mental game much better. So for example, if you work with a 100K FTMO account, if you achieve 5% plus, which is basically 1 time the maximum daily loss limit, so which is 5K on a 100K account, I would try to have this kind of as a target in the long run, right? Not right away in the first month or something. Just try to make your 2 or 3% each month. Pay yourself, because paying out is very important, because as you guys know, only what comes out of the trading account is real. And that's one key factor in trading. So I would always try to pay myself, but also leave something in the account, maybe 30% of your profit split or maybe half of it. So you can eventually increase the account to 105K, for example, on a 100K account. And in that sense, you are much more relaxed because you have 1 time extra the maximum daily loss limit. And that will help you massively also to achieve these 4% payouts, of which you have to have 4 eventually, right? So I would try to do that, build a buffer on the account. Then trade moderately always in the beginning of the trading period, like nothing has changed, right? I would not try in my mind to be, oh, I need to have a 4% payout this month. I would not try to pressure myself. But if I see, okay, this month is going well, the market is very favorable with my trading strategy this month, I'm up 2% already after 1 or 2 weeks, then I would try to leverage that in order to achieve this 4% in this one particular month. And yeah, if you do this 4 times over, you know, over the whole time, so let's say you will work on the account for 1 year, 2 years, eventually you will have enough of these 4% payouts, then you achieve this prime status, which then is a really nice achievement, right? If you work for an account, because if you work on an account 1 year, it shows you have a lot of consistency. If you then get this badge, it also feels much more rewarding to yourself, right? So it will be a very nice achievement and will also feel like a very nice achievement. So these are my personal thoughts about it. As I mentioned, there are basically 2 routes in my opinion. The small challenge route, which would mean you will try to push a little bit faster the whole process because it's just a small account, and you would try to get that in first, so then you can secure the 10% discount. That is one possibility. However, the drawback is that you will have no big income basically at that time, as long as you manage the 10K account only. The other route is you will go for the big accounts, but then keep them super safe and consistent, and basically still have a moderate, very moderate profit target each month, not to pressure yourself, and then basically leverage your gains only on a very strong trading month if you're already up 2% in the middle of the month, for example, and also build a buffer on the account, right? So these are basically my idea. Of course, you could also try to do a mix. If you want to diversify strategies, you can try to, for example, purchase a 100k account and a 10k account. Try to get them both in the FTMO trader stage, and then, you know, trade them a little bit differently, right? So be very conservative on the 100k, play the long run game, try to do everything for consistency, and then on the 10k account maybe have a little bit more increased risk there when you have the trade copier going on, you know, compared to the account size. So maybe if you have some good months, you can achieve the 4 payouts a little bit faster on that account, but the risk is of course that you will lose the account, right? But it's just a small one. So that is also a possibility how you could consider it, diversify and have 2 different accounts at the same time and adjust the risk that you trade on each account, right? Good guys, that is basically all I have to say about it. I'm very excited about it. I think this is a massive upgrade by FTMO. Very nice to see that they're doing this. And I think it will be a very exciting time for traders, and I hope many of you guys can achieve these levels and get the badges, right? With that being said guys, I wish you all the best with your trading and I catch you in the next one. Bye bye.
Yes?
Bogdanov, he did it. He sold.
He sold. Activate quantum pump.
What?
Deja vu, I just been in this place before. High on the street, and I know it's my time to go. Going new, and the search is a mystery. Standing on my feet, it's so hard when I try to be me. Whoa, deja vu, I just been in this time before. Higher on the beat, and I know.
Voy a la playa, había subido la marea.